Welcome back to The Source. I am your host, Josh Werner, and here I have two very, very special guests for this episode. We have Mr. Matt Miner and Mr. Kevin Miner in the house. These are two of the famed Miner brothers that I have been talking about in some previous episodes. For those who haven't gone back and watched those, definitely go check out when I first broke the news about the Dead Man's Hand movie based on No Rest for the Wicked, graphic novel that these two are responsible for. So first I want to do some introductions. Kevin, you want to say hi to everybody and introduce yourself?
Hey, Kevin Miner, co-writer of No Rest for the Wicked, executive producer for Dead Man's Hand. That's a cool thing I get to say now.
Yeah.
Transferred over. Matt Miner, creator of No Rest for the Wicked, co-writer with my brother Kevin, and then also executive producer on the movie. We'll give a shout out to our brother Jake, who illustrated the book for us, but couldn't be here today.
Yes, for those who aren't familiar with Jake's work, he is a phenomenally talented artist, and his work on No Rest for the Wicked is some of my favorite. For those who aren't familiar with the book, it goes pencil straight to colors without inks, and it just works so beautifully to kind of grab the grittiness. For those who are completely new to No Rest for the Wicked, don't know anything about it, how would you break down genre, basic plot synopsis for them?
Well, it's a supernatural Western, so we love the Western sandbox, but we wanted to add something to it. But it's essentially a revenge story where Reno gets in over his head with some disreputable types, and he finds himself at death's door, and then he's saved by a Native American tribe, and they imbue him with the powers of a Native American spirit called the Manitou, and it allows him to go on his kind of revenge quest. But there's a little bit more to it. He's kind of being he's kind of being pointed and used to help the tribe as well.
Yeah, it's less he's saved and more weaponized, but that's just because the people in town are jerks. They deserve it.
They all had it coming.
Yep.
So we're talking bloody, violence, mature content.
Yes.
Very much a new take on Westerns as a genre. It feels like it's really like there's not a lot of great examples of supernatural Westerns that have this kind of nail-biting suspense and action, and to see this land a movie, which we're going to be talking about here in a bit, that's huge, right? Like, I feel like comic book films are really starting to take a look at what all the medium has to offer, because so many people have this misconception of what comic books are. If you're not actively reading comics online or physically, and you're not someone who visits comic book shops, which is primarily the way that most people like see and learn about the product, since they're not distributed in a lot of regular stores, or if you're not hanging out in the graphic novel section at your local bookstore or something, you might not realize that there's no genre for comic books. Comic books completely cover the entire gamut of storytelling, and in my opinion, are the greatest storytelling medium in the world. You know, bringing both art and writing together. And now that we have had so many superhero films on the market, and people are really realizing there's so many great stories to be adapted from comics, and they translate so well because of the visuals that are already attached to them, more so than novels. It's really awesome to start seeing the eye turning towards books like yours. It's huge.
Yep. I think it's a point really well taken that, you know, you have superhero movies where they're super popular, you know, the Marvel movies are great, all that stuff. Batman movies, especially like the Dark Knight movies, like they're great, they're awesome. But to your point, people outside of comic books, that's kind of what they see. But when you're in the genre, when you're in seeing all this stuff, like then you look at stuff like Road to Perdition is a great movie that was a comic book adaptation that people don't think of.
Yeah.
Right.
History of Violence.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think
comic book movie.
And I think that well, directors and those they see, oh, here's the script, here's the storyboards. I see how this translates, and so I think they're starting to broaden what they're looking at for what they can adapt.
I think that there were some directors that were in on this a long time ago, saw the amazing potential for this and almost used it like a best kept secret kind of thing, and for movies like Road to Perdition. And now it's kind of becoming like the go-to because comic book storytelling is always ahead of the films, right? So we've got like, if you're looking for what's going to be the next coolest genre or the next coolest storytelling, method or plot lines or whatever the case might be, or IPs in general, start looking to comics because they're ahead of the game, and then what you see in stores right now might be what's in theaters next year, the year after, and the year after that. Yeah. And that's the case with No Rest for the Wicked. It's a complete indie success story, and I can't tell you how proud I am of you guys. So let's talk a little bit about how this all came about the film, who's in it, who's directing it, all that good stuff. I already know all these things, but I'm going to pretend I don't, so that we can all hear about it like it's the first time together. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, practice like, no way. You want to start?
Sure. I think that there was a little bit of a history with the book. You guys were really championing it when people were asking genre questions, and so that was a huge thing for us. We knew you guys were kind of watching out for us. We talked with some people. You guys talked with some people, and you know that these things take time to develop. Nothing's a sure thing until it's a sure thing, and so we just were taking the opportunities as they came.
If I may, I would like to interject. So when this initially got optioned, Travis called me, and it was just like in the afternoon. I think I was like at work, and I'm like, "Hey, what's up, man? What do you need?" And he goes, "Hey, I just want to let you know, it looks like we're probably gonna option No Rest. Don't get your hopes up. Nothing ever happens."
Yeah.
And so I went, all right, cool. And that was like it for a while, And I'd known people who had things optioned, and that's awesome. But it didn't work out, and so we recognize how incredible this is, that it met all those hurdles, and how rare and difficult it is, and how many people behind the scenes are doing so many amazing things, like how much Brian did and everything. Brian Skiba, the director, but still, yeah, I know, right?
One of the things, so I developed a pitch deck for film for No Rest for the Wicked ages ago. I think I've done probably 3 or 4 versions of it. And one of the things that we always pushed for with this film that's enticing is, listen, it doesn't have to be a huge budget to make a fantastic film, right? So there's a lot of comic book film adaptations that people are like, the money that we would have to sink into this, the people we would have to convince, the investments we would have to get. Now, don't get me wrong. This is a big budget film. This is a big movie. It's very, it's getting a full theatrical release. It's going to be amazing. But at the end of the day, the amount of CGI needed for this film, is minute compared to so many others that come out of the comic book world. And the thing with comic books is the budget for your visuals is exactly the same, regardless of the genre and the storytelling, right? So, if you want to go crazy in a comic, it costs you no extra to make a dinosaur come running through the middle of the set, whatever. But you take that same exact page that you did in the comic to a film, and they're like, "Geez, what are you thinking?" So this one, it translates really well, and also the timing seems right for it because there's this kind of amazing resurgence in interest in Westerns. And a lot of that, there's the Yellowstone craze. And really what it comes down to is there's some amazing actors that are just killing it in Westerns that are just so, they're so enthralling as characters. We want more of them in other roles. And 2, it's just ripe. The genre is ripe for some really good, edgy, violent, rated R films to kind of reset what a Western is. We're a long ways away from Roy Rogers and the like.
No singing cowboys in this.
Some whistling, I think.
Well,
so on that note, I feel like there's some cast that is pretty exciting and worth announcing here. I mean, I've technically already announced the cast here before, and at San Diego Comic-Con and a couple other places, but for those who are the first time hearing about this, can you tell us a little bit about the cast?
Yeah.
So Stephen Dorff, who's been in a million things, like Blade. He was in season 3 of True Detective, which she was fantastic in. I always think of The Gate.
Yeah, I love
And
he was a little boy in the
yeah,
game.
Yeah.
I love him.
I gotta be honest. When we were on set, like I really wanted to be like, I thought you were like the most badass kid I'd ever seen because you stabbed your hand because the eye.
Yes.
I was like, this kid is a stone cold killer. Oh my god. But yeah, he is in it, and he's one of the people that was signed on right from the very beginning because there was like some casting thing that was up there. I mean, that's normal for this kind of thing. But it was so awesome. Like right from the get go, he was on board the whole time.
Can you tell them the role that he's playing?
He's gonna be playing the villain, Clarence Bishop, and he really brought it, man. He really brought the gravitas in his scenes. It was awesome.
So, for those who haven't seen it recently in the press, Stephen Dorff threw some arrows at the production team behind the new Blade film. Blade has been struggling. They've been struggling to keep their cast and a director and get everything going, and they've been trying to make a new Blade movie for a few years now. And Stephen Dorff came out and said, "You guys are never, ever going to, touch what we did, with Blade. And good luck with your PG-13 or whatever it is you're trying to do." That being said, I believe that they are planning for a rated R Blade film, but it was a fun jab because it's hard to take something as awesome and as intense as Blade and work it into the MCU and keep it, feeling both ways, like both vibes. And so to all of those who are looking for another awesome rated R comic book movie with Stephen Dorff playing the villain, well, you have it. You have it right here. Forget the new Blade movie. You got to see Dead Man's Hand. So Dead Man's Hand is the subtitle for the story arc of No Rest for the Wicked, and it is now the name of the film. Did you get any insight as to why they decided to change the name?
We got it through context. Well, so they made a big point where they wanted to have the card game be a real focal, epicenter for some things. To the point where they wanted special cards. They wanted they did make a really big scene around it, and they made a big deal out of calling out the Dead Man's Hand. And so, we led with it in the first 5 pages of the book. And we went from there. But you're, I think, almost to the middle of the movie, and then they drop this action bomb on you, and things happen.
The poker scene is a real focal point, and a lot went into it, and it was really well planned, and it was really cool to see it all come together. But yeah, and they make a real specific point about the lore of the Dead Man's Hand in Western kind of mythology, and connect it with the story elements that happen.
I'll admit that for a while I was kind of like, it sucks that they changed the name because you just want that instant recognition for the comic. You really want to drive these people, as a publisher, Source Point Press, we really want to drive people to go read the graphic novel that this film's going to be based on. And it's harder if the title's changed, but it's really grown on me. As far as a movie title goes, I'm like, it's a dope movie title. Dead Man's Hand sounds like a movie I want to go see right out the gate.
Western too. It feels like it's got some good punch to it, and that's kind of how I felt because there was a split second. I was like, oh, but I thought about it, and I was like, man, that's really that's got some good oomph to it.
It does. It's a great title.
So yeah.
Luckily, they didn't just choose a random different title. Luckily, it is at least the story arc title that helps. It's on the cover of the book.
Well, I think it's still appropriate too because that's. We let off in the book, like I said, early and ran from there, and so I think it's all appropriate and it's nicely done.
And
so I have no regrets.
The lead character's physical hands also play a big role in this film, so there's a lot of. It just works on multiple levels. So we have Stephen Dorff playing our villain.
Yes.
Who's next?
Jack Kilmer. So Val Kilmer's son. He's been really kind of coming out lately. He's been in a bunch of stuff. I think he even played.
Becoming hardcore.
Didn't they even have him in Willow?
Yeah.
Too he's playing a younger version.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
In the series.
Yeah, but I thought it was just
Matt Mardigan.
Was it
flashbacks or something?
Yeah, I think so. I haven't seen it. I feel like I read that.
Brilliant idea.
But
he's involved.
Yeah, and he was just all in on the production and the character, and it was so cool working with him.
Yeah.
And he's got just really this like young face, and he brings kind of like a little cockiness to the character. It was great. He was really nailing it, and it was so fun to have him there, just really diving in.
And he told me he read the book multiple times, and he just like so he grabbed me and Kevin every chance he could to ask us questions about the character and his background, and we tried to give him as much as we could, and it was really nice for us because so much of my original vision of the character is really based on Val Kilmer's Doc Holliday. And Kevin and I, whenever we would read the script, we would always read it as Doc Holliday.
We would do our best,
as good as we could.
Even to the point where, like, so Jack, like, once he was cast, Matt and I were like,
that moment,
we could have did this, and then you know, as we got closer to shooting, Matt and I actually have a kind of conversation, like, do we tell him? Like, do we want him?
Right? Is it too fanboyish? Too?
Yeah, but also like we don't. I don't want you to feel like we're like saying you have to play it like your dad. No, we want you to play it like you.
Right.
But like your dad's like, to me, like, and I love westerns. His portrayal of Doc Holliday is one of my favorite portrayals of anybody in any western.
Hands down.
It's like the gold standard.
Now, to my knowledge, I believe this is the first western live action full feature film that Jack has done. Right, I know he's done like dramas and things like that.
He's done some action movies. I think this is his first western.
So in a way, this is kind of a big historic kind of film moment because Val Kilmer's one of his most famous roles is Doc Holliday, right? So to have his son take the lead role in this western film is really cool. That it's your film.
Yeah.
You know, that's amazing.
Extra fun fact to that. So the dates for our shooting got moved around a little bit just because of necessary movie stuff. We'll call it that. Well, these things change, right?
Yeah.
We were originally going to shoot where they shot Tombstone, like in Arizona.
I remember the talks about that.
Yeah. So like that would have been even more level.
I was holding my hands down, so I wouldn't do anything.
Right.
But yeah, that would have taken it over the top.
I remember the day that I was sending Jack a package. I gave him like a bunch of copies of the book and stuff, and wrote him like a note in the package, and I'm like, this is so weird. It's like, hey Jack, here's some books. Hope you're doing well. You're gonna kill it. Blah blah. You know, and just like, wow, this is really cool. So then, you know, that's our lead villain, our lead hero. Yeah, if you want to call him a hero.
Well, he's playing Reno, so yeah, he's our protagonist for sure.
Yes.
But
do you want to tell them a little bit more about the character of Reno?
Well, you know, Reno's a gambling gunslinger. He's not a choir boy by any means, but he's
young and sassy and
and it's one of those key things. Like when you want a hero who's a little bit flawed, you know, I think it makes him relatable and fun, and he can kind of push some things. But also, you just got to make sure the villain's so much worse.
Oh yeah,
as like a person,
right.
And Stephen Dorff really brought it. He was so good, man. Like his scenes with Jack and they're across the table. Like I was intimidated. I was like, "Dang, man!"
I want to be in this card game.
I know.
Yeah, well, and just the lines they're just dripping with venom. It's the first time that Stephen Dorff was doing a scene, I couldn't actually watch him do the scene because they were doing it in a tent, and so it was a closed space, and so I'm outside of the tent and I have to listen to it, and that's all I can do. That's all I can do is listen, but I was getting chills, the goosebumps, because I was like, "Oh my God, he sounds badass." he's just such a badass, and it was true. I mean, like he really, like he maintained it through the whole production. It's unbelievable.
It's got to make him almost hard to approach as a person too. He's not popular at lunchtime. He was intimidated by him.
We gave him some space here.
Yeah, well, you had to give him some space, but I kind of compared it to like if you've got somebody who's pitching in a baseball game, don't mess with them in between innings. You can talk to them before, you can talk to them after.
Right.
When they're doing their thing, you let them do their thing, and that was like just let him do his thing because he wasn't like mean or a jerk or anything like that. He was just like focused.
Yeah, and
he's a pro.
Yeah, he is
absolutely. Well, I mean, when he was doing stuff, if he asked me a question, like I give him whatever I could give him, whatever he needed, but otherwise, like I waited until he was done, and he was always cool. Yeah. Like, I mean, no doubt.
So, Stephen Dorff, Jack Kilmer. By the way, if anyone would like to see Jack Kilmer be on a future episode of The Source, please drop it in the comments. That might be something we can make happen. And then there's a phenomenal supporting cast from there.
There is.
Obviously, there's one more big name to drop in the lead casting.
Yeah.
Who wants to say it?
I'll say it. Because we talked about a couple different names, and I was excited about every one of the names. So
I don't think we can say the names, can we?
I won't say the
Yeah,
names.
I don't know.
There was one in particular I was really
Oh, man.
There was a couple I thought were,
Yeah. Well, I mean, the whole process was really cool. But then when this crystallized, it just started taking things over the top. So U.S. Marshal Roy McCutcheon is played by Cole Hauser, who has been just blowing things up on Yellowstone.
Cole Hauser. It's huge.
Yeah, and it was great because when we confirmed that, like I had left a viewing of season 3 of Yellowstone to go take the call, and I came back up, and me and my wife started watching the next episode, and we got through the little opening. We were in the credits, and I said, "Oh, hon, by the way, we got some casting news."
Have you ever read it?
Yeah. Guess who? So I mean, that was pretty amazing, and luckily, thankfully, Cole was awesome, and he brought like 5 more people from Yellowstone with him. So as a fan of the show, and then just as a fan of what they do, it was amazing to have all those guys on set, and everybody was super cool.
So as far as Yellowstone actors go, we've got Forey J. Smith, right? He's also from Yellowstone?
Yep. His son.
He's been in like 42 episodes.
As Lloyd, I mean, he's excellent. He's a tough guy cowboy, and he's the real deal. He's awesome.
As Alexander.
No acting required. You just show up and be yourself. That's
when you're that cool, you just get to show up.
Yeah, he plays the bartender who got kind of an extended role out of. I mean, like he featured in the book, but I mean, like I don't think we named him.
No. Well, it was honestly, it was a function of having an opportunity to have someone like him in the movie, and we said, okay, what's wrong with it?
Yeah, and he really, like every scene.
Beauty of filmmaking too is how organic it is. Mm-hmm. It becomes its own thing, even when it's an adaptation. By the time it's finished, it's so different from where it even started or where it even planned to go. Things just like, certain actors bring so much to a role that you want to expand that role. Certain things aren't working the way you thought, so you either cut them or you edit them down, and it ends up becoming its own like living entity. And something that no one really knows is that post-production is wrapping as we speak at this very moment. There are people working on it right now, likely finishing it.
Yeah, bringing it home.
So that's it's almost like it's its birthday, like it's a newborn baby.
Yeah. So Forey's son Wilder also was real instrumental.
Forey Smith and Forrest Wilder.
Forrest Wilder.
Forrest Wilder is the son of Forey Smith, and both of them worked on Yellowstone, right?
Yes. Usually they have the son play the younger version of the father, which is it's perfect. But he was dynamite on set playing. He plays Bishop's brother, and then he did a lot of stunt work. He took care of the horses. Like he helped us. he just was everywhere. He was amazing to have on set.
That man can ride too. He did a couple scenes where like people were just right after just applauding like immediately because it was so cool. Like he came in with such force and skill. It was really.
If anybody doesn't believe the guys on Yellowstone can ride horses,
they can ride.
Every single one of them can ride. Unbelievable. Cole Hauser, he came in, and there was a horse that was specifically set aside for him, and the guy who did the horses, he actually makes saddles. He made a period-specific saddle, put it on the horse. Cole Hauser immediately hops on the horse to try out the saddle, expertly rides across the town, backs up the horse, and just backs it up, like you could hear it like beeping. and then he runs it forward, he turns it right, he turns it left, he hustles back over to where we are, stops it on a dime, and he goes, "Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'm feeling right." And I was like, "Yeah, it's too bad you don't know how to ride. I mean, it'd probably be easier." And he gives me like if it was Rip Wheeler, I was going to the train station. He looked at me and then
it's a terrifying moment.
I was like, Oh yeah, he does. Like I met him yesterday. He doesn't know my sarcastic humor yet, but I mean, he expertly rode that horse on the first try, and he said he just had to break in the saddle a little bit, and that was it. But I mean,
So
unbelievable.
you said they had a horse pretty much set aside for him.
Yeah.
Is it a horse that he's ever ridden before?
That was
So his
the
first
first
time
time.
on that horse, not just that saddle, but that horse.
It was just a well-trained horse. He knew exactly
Very
what
cool.
to do. The horse knew what to do.
That's so interesting. I mean, in a movie like this, having horses on set adds a layer of complexity.
Mhm.
Having horse trainers having to give the horses proper breaks, work with the actors, make sure that the horses don't get spooked. You've got lights, you've got crew everywhere, you've got so much happening.
Yeah. Gunshots going off.
Yeah,
the horse got to be ready for
It's
that.
got to be one of the, I imagine, the most intensive and difficult things about making a Western. How did you, from your time on set, did you witness any of the cast that was unfamiliar with riding that had to ride?
Man, that's a good question.
In that, we should probably list off some more cast members too. So we got Corin Nemic rides in the movie, doesn't he?
I don't remember him riding.
Does he ever get on a horse? Maybe not.
I don't remember if he does.
He's definitely like part of the posse. He plays Red the Sheriff. Or Deputy.
Red the Deputy.
Deputy, Sheriff's
So,
Deputy.
for those who aren't familiar, Corin Nemic has been in countless things. For me personally, I'm a really big fan of his time on Stargate SG-1. Also, he was Parker Lewis in Parker Lewis Can't Lose.
That's what I default to every time.
For me, I think one of his most memorable roles was in Stephen King's The Stand. And, of course, he played Rottentail, the last Source Point Press film. And now here he is coming back for the next Source Point Press film, which I'm just so excited that he was there. And he was also very excited to be there because he was live tweeting like crazy. Not entirely sure if that's okay or not, but don't get him in trouble. We love him.
Yeah, he was great to work with. Unbelievable.
Hope we're getting close enough to release where it's not a big deal anymore.
Right, yeah, totally. So who else? We got...
from Yellowstone, there's also Mo Brings Plenty.
Yes.
And Cody Jones.
Mato
and Chato.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then we also had Boots Sutherland makes a brief appearance. He's one of the coach drivers. It was great because Boots and Forrest and Forey, they're all in New Mexico, so they're all local.
Oh, nice.
So like they brought their horses. That was their wagon.
That's amazing.
I didn't know the wagon part.
Yeah, they restored that themselves. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful wagon.
That's really cool when cast members are bringing their own horses to the set. That's so cool. Another Rottentail alumni, William McNamara.
Yes. Yep.
He completely stole the show in Rottentail. He is hands down one of the funniest people, and he takes his craft very seriously and is just amazing. I can't wait to see what he does in the film.
He has a couple nice moments. That's
so cool. Lori Love is also returning. You'll remember her from Rottentail as the mayor, who has her heart ripped out in a really great gore shot. So she's returning to this film. Lori's incredible. She is also the wife of director Brian Skiba, who always makes a cameo in all of his films, so he'll be making another cameo
he
in
does.
this one. There's some other great names here as well.
We have Tate Fletcher.
Yes.
Well-known stuntman, easy to spot. James Logan, another stuntman. His role got expanded just because he just was becoming indispensable.
I love that.
Yeah, he got pulled into the posse. All the stunt guys were great. The armorers were great. Want to mention there's a cast member that was added for the film that is not in the books, and that was Camille Collard's character, Vegas, and she was. She was just really great to work with. I keep saying that she was such a trooper because, she had to run around in like nightgowns, and like when the sun goes down in New Mexico, it's a 30 to 40 degree drop in temperature like that, and so
you don't know how to dress.
Yeah, well, so like in between shots, like we made sure that there were heaters or there were the jackets and things, but it's just so cold a lot of nights that like and she just powered through on some stuff, and we talked to you about we did some photo ops, and she happened to be like trapped waiting for her next scene, and so she's in our photo ops. God bless her.
Probably can't tell what she's doing in the scene, right?
No spoilers.
She was in a very scene-specific position that she couldn't leave. So she's like in this picture in the background. It's hilarious.
Makes for a pretty good photo bomb.
Yes.
Yeah. Watch the socials later.
Actually, the day I got to set, so Matt got to set a few days before me, and the day I got to set, I'm kind of walking around, getting a lay of the land, and I saw Camille, but I had not like met her or anything. I'd only ever seen her name on stuff, And so she's just sitting in a chair in front of the saloon, and she's got this script, and it is just marked up and highlighted and notes. And I'm like, hi, so I kind of introduce myself. So I'm like, is this somebody like I'm supposed to know? I'm an executive producer. I'm going to figure out what that means. So I'm going to be like, say hi, and
start doing, this is the default. Who are you? What do you do?
But I mean, so I introduced myself. She introduced, and I didn't recognize her name right away. And I got 2 steps away, and I turned around. I was like, Vegas, like she's like, yeah, and I'm like, oh, awesome. And I was so thoroughly impressed with, like, just right off the bat. I didn't know her. I just met her. She had gone through, like, she knew everybody's lines. She was so professional and prepared. It was really impressive.
Yeah. She, we asked her to do like some small stunts. We ran through all kinds of different scenes with her. She had some really big days, and it was really amazing. She and Jack developed an actual on-set chemistry where they were very like brother sister, but it was really great to see them in between scenes, like talking and getting to know each other. And I think it made their actual scenes like way more comfortable, and it was just really cool. And also I was blown away. She had a film camera, and she got all these amazing, like, great film camera shots of stuff on set. It's just really cool. I snapped whatever I could with my phone. Yeah, but I mean, like that was her hobby, was film camera.
Go back to the dark room and develop later. That's so cool.
Yeah.
So I imagine being on set. So how long was it? Oh my. Some books. We're fine. Caught. How long was filming? I'm trying to remember.
23 days.
23 days. So obviously, there's always things that go wrong on set. There's
nope, not on this. This was perfect.
Perfect, of course.
Many things went awesome
at the end.
No, many things went awesome, but there were a couple of weird things.
Well, to that point though, I loved being on set so much because it was like I felt like it was like this really cool place where a bunch of creative people were just figuring it out. Like I mean, like
problem solving, right?
But it was problem solving. Yeah. I mean, like don't get me wrong. Like there was a plan. We had everything planned out. But I mean, like little stuff would be like, hey, where's this supposed to be at? And like, oh, we need this. And like people are just like, well, let's just do it. We'll figure it out.
And let's make it right now. Let's figure it out.
And it was so like creatively, like as like an artist, like I loved the collab. Yes, I loved it. I loved it. It was like people were just pitching in and going. It was awesome. The vibe was like you're saying, the vibe on the set was awesome.
Yeah,
that's so. You always hear horror stories too about films that they're just like, we just got to make it through this and get it done, and it's a lot of it has to do with the vibe on set. Like I feel like you can tell, and a movie is so much stronger when everybody's enjoying being there, wants to do this. They want it. They want to do this to the best ability. They want it to be part of it. And that's one of the things that right out the gate, everyone's been really excited about this. Like from day one, casting was not an issue unless there was scheduling conflicts. So like a lot of the people who could have been in this movie who aren't, the only reason that they're not is because of scheduling conflicts. It's not because they weren't interested. Everybody wanted to be in this film to the point where you had to create extra roles. Right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's really
the cast is surprisingly deep.
Yes, what a phenomenal cast. For,
like people are like, bring your friend, like bring your green hat, let's go.
Yeah, no, it was great.
And so many professionals. So, what are some of the challenges of working in the desert with this particular set? So, talk about the setting in the ranch you guys were on too.
Yeah, J.W. Eves Movie Ranch.
And
classic movie ranch.
Really impressive films have been shot there, right?
Yeah,
pretty much all of of them.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't know if I can say all of them, but like
But,
over 30 or 40 movies easy.
Big ones that you know.
Yeah, and
we
then
can say the movies that
10 or 20
totally, right?
series.
So like Easy Rider,
Wyatt
Earp, like the Kevin Costner Wyatt Earp,
Yep.
Young Guns 2,
the Lonesome Dove series.
Lonesome Dove,
Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Buster Scruggs, Ridiculous Six, Million Ways to Die in the West.
One of my favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just some really like cool, fun stuff, and like just like a ton of like movie series and stuff. There was a poster that was there that had like a list, and like the list only went through like 2002 or something.
Yeah.
And so we updated it for them. But even just like the list through 2002, it's like, dang, like these are.
That's a lot of.
Yeah. Well, we were so grateful for their hospitality and them taking care of us because we shot there for 19 days.
That's a big chunk of the film.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I was happy to make a new poster for them, and get, like of course it starts with Dead Man's Hand right at the top. But, it was very great experience. Very cool place to be. Well, I was gonna go back to what you said about like certain shooting challenges.
Yes.
There were two that were like really, really interesting. We were shooting an early scene where it's supposed to be Reno coming out of the desert, and he's coming through all this scrub brush, and I'm watching, and we're just doing a long shot. It's going to be 5 minutes of him walking through the desert, and we're going to pick out whatever 5, 10, 30 seconds we want. And I hear this semi truck in the distance. I can't see it anywhere, and I can just hear it, and it's just getting closer. And I'm thinking, all right, you can't see the road back there, but if that guy turns, we're screwed. And then I see this white like a cement mixer comes up, and it turns left for them, and it just goes right through the back of the screen, and Jack's walking at us, and this truck is just back there forever as he walks through.
Totally ruins the shot.
Well, so Brian goes, "We'll fix it in post." So that's it. And then when we were in Cali, New Mexico, we were supposed to be in the wilderness. We had set up a scene. I built some tents with a couple of the cast members and some of the prop people, and we built these Indian tents. And they're just out on the side of the mountain, and it's a super cool area. It's nothing but sky and mountains ringing it. I went back to the base camp, and I was down there, and I know that they were shooting. And all of a sudden, there is this streak in the sky, and there's it's like a SpaceX launch or something, like, and it's just in the background. And this rocket is in the sky for 10, 15 minutes, like right behind where the tents were. And so like I don't know if that's I don't know if they caught it, but I know they were shooting. And we're all taking pictures of it. Like, that's so cool.
Could it be over there though? That'd be great.
Yeah,
if it was just over there.
If it was over there, it'd be so much better because we shoot everything that way.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it was, like you can't. Like, how are you supposed to know that? Like a truck, you can maybe block off a street if you're thinking about it.
You can only control so much of your area,
Yeah.
and when you're shooting outdoors, you can't call up SpaceX and say, "Hey, don't do anything on this for this month."
Yeah, we had like once or twice we had like some jet like trails in the sky, or like there was one night we were shooting and you could hear some cars drag racing on the expressway like 5 miles away.
Wow.
You know, but you know you just run with it.
And then obviously, when you're filming in the desert, you have to deal with the wildlife as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of things in New Mexico that want you dead.
Well, I got to tell you, for us writing a Western, I've never been like a big fan of like wearing cowboy boots or cowboy boots in general. Like, and I've always been kind of like, what's the point of them? I get it. I get it now.
Protecting your ankles, kind of.
Oh my God!
Is that really what it comes down to?
Yes. No. Like so. Like there was parts where like we were doing set dressing, and we would go to kind of like some areas of the set where it's like there's a little more brush and stuff like that, and you got to go in there and get it. people would warn you, like, watch out for rattlesnakes, watch out for this, and like then there would just be like these prickers that we get everywhere that were like really
goat head thistles.
goat head, and they were tiny and sharp.
Pants are all covered, right?
Yeah, and so like I was wearing like sneakers and everything,
Right?
Yeah.
and I made it work. But the point is, there's a couple of times where I'm like, if something wanted to bite my ankle, like I'm screwed.
It's got you.
Right
yeah, in the clothes,
yeah.
Right?
So like I have a new appreciation for cowboy boots. I get it.
I've never
sorry,
thought about
I'm
that
sorry, I
before.
never really understood that part of it. But it's true. Like,
makes
if
perfect sense.
other people
Leather,
had
almost to your knee. You're
yeah, other people had,
protecting
they're walking through there, no problem. I'm like, yeah, screw that.
yourself. Right? Yeah, there's something hidden behind
Yeah.
everything trying to kill me. That's amazing. I've never thought about that.
And the goat head thistles were these amazing things. They stuck to rocks, stones,
No way.
metal,
So
wood.
much worse than Michigan's, like,
They're unbelievable.
furs.
Oh,
well,
we'd get to the hotel, and you'd really have to be careful if you start walking around like just
Yeah,
in your bare
they'd
feet.
fall off your shoes as
Yeah.
you walk in and embed in the carpet, and then you'd take your shoes off and walk to the bathroom, and
Catch one.
you'd hit 2 or 3 on the way through.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, at one point, I had these gloves that were, pick up glass, pick up, like watch out, like no blades can't get through them, whatever. And I'm picking up broken glass, and I'm throwing stuff away, and I went and I grabbed this floorboard, and I kind of was like trying to push it back, and when and something got me. I'm like like I mean nothing had got me to that point. And then I go look, and it's a goat head thistle. It went right through it like it was nothing. Those things, they're the devil.
Wow.
It's the best way to put it.
This is what it's like being on the set of a Western.
Yeah.
This is the kind of stuff you have to deal with. It's not a controlled environment like an indoor studio.
Yeah.
Man, it's incredible. You were saying tarantulas were
Yep.
all over.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first tarantula I saw was bigger than my hand,
Thank you.
and people were like, some people were picking them up, and I was like, I'm good.
Picking them up seems really dangerous, right? I mean, obviously you're one bite away from hospitalization.
Well,
at least.
they were saying that they weren't poisonous, which
Trust.
I don't know if I would trust them either.
Not to mention, I'm guessing it hurts, right? Those are big.
Yeah,
They're-
at the very least,
they're
it's going to
big.
hurt, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
It's like would you pick up a bee just because it's not poisonous?
No.
No, like
Fair.
you
Yeah.
wouldn't want to be stung by a bee, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't pick up a bee the size of my hand no matter
No,
what.
no, yeah, like it was like, yeah. I'm gonna stop because I'm gonna have nightmares remembering the spiders.
Put up a little shot here on the screen of one of the spiders on set, and from what I hear, this is one of the smaller ones.
It was the smaller one I saw.
Yeah, like when I took the video, I put the bottle next to it because I wanted for scale, and it wasn't the biggest one that I saw. It's just I happened to have my phone ready
Right,
Yeah.
right.
when I saw it, and it was walking across some train tracks that kind of went through the town. But like everybody who was local was just like, to them it's like the same as if
so
like
you got-
maybe we saw like a robin.
Yeah,
Yeah, gotcha, yeah.
And I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna die.
So the locals not afraid of all of the stuff that you're dealing with on set that could kill you. Also, you talked about the rabbits, the jackrabbits, getting really massively huge.
the jackrabbits were big, and I didn't see a lot of them.
I didn't see any.
I didn't see a lot of them, but like at dusk, you would get more of them, and there were more than once. There was one sitting there not moving, and I thought it was just like a tree or some scrub brush. And then when I would stare at it, then it would see me staring, and then it would run off. And I was like, "What is this? Like my dog is smaller than these, and like my dog's not small. It's not like
one of those kicking you could probably break a bone or something." But so one of the things the locals were hesitant about is some of the regional folklore that got brought up multiple times. You want to tell them a little bit about that?
yeah.
I didn't come across this. This is.
I think this is so fascinating.
Yeah.
This is
Well,
so
I was.
cool.
I'm not so sure they weren't
Even
having a
if
run
it's-
at you, like
Even if it's
sending
a
a snipe hunt.
joke, it's still like it's
know.
a regional folklore like
Yeah.
coming into daily life.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I wanted to believe that they were just having fun with me, but it came from enough different people that I don't think that they were messing with me.
Maybe they just thought you were gullible enough.
Well, so one thing that is in that vein, but is a little different. When we went to a bar after we saw the rocket in the sky, and so we were talking to some locals at the bar, and we had said, "Did you guys see the rocket?" And they're like, ain't no rockets out here. It's aliens. It's aliens.
They're really confident of that. It's definitely not a
Yeah,
rocket.
it's like, no, they weren't no rocket. That's aliens. Oh.
I see him every day.
Okay.
Wow, just total confidence of that.
No hesitation, no doubt.
Wow.
So aliens and what was it?
And well, and then so they would always tell me always go out with somebody. Always go out in pairs.
Is this particularly at night or during the day?
Especially at night. In the daytime, I think that they weren't as worried about it, but they said definitely at night, always have somebody with you, because if you went out by yourself and you came back, there was a good chance you were going to be a skinwalker and not you. And I was like, okay. and I had so many people say stuff like that to me, that whether it was like a shopkeeper, just
No
like
kidding.
like anybody on set that was from New Mexico, like people at the gas station.
Think of how powerful that, even if it's just joking, think about how powerful that lore has become as part of their culture. In the state of Michigan, you don't think to warn a total stranger or someone you just met about any particular lore, creature,
Yeah.
and it's not applicable. I mean, there's plenty of lore in Michigan and plenty of hauntings and stories about cryptids and things like that. But for you to be in this one specific location and have that many people bring it up to you, that's interesting.
In the town of Santa Fe, like people, like downtown, like
Skinwalker Central, apparently.
Well, they would still say, oh, you're out at the ranch. Like, you worried about any skinwalkers? Did you see any? Like,
maybe they just didn't think that the idea that a guy from Michigan writing westerns sounded legit.
yeah, I mean that's possible too. I mean, I could have been.
This guy's story is off.
Yeah, I don't believe in this guy. But it happened enough times that I definitely. I mean, I don't think that anybody like you. I don't think I looked like I was out of place, that I would be targeted for
right.
for a gag by so many people.
Yeah, it's not like, look at this city slicker. Let's get him.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. So we have incredible cast, a set full of really cool people making this amazing movie based on your comic book, all these exciting experiences on set, and now there's so much to look forward to. So we have the first printing of the trade paperback available, very limited places now. Amazon has a stock. I highly recommend you get it from them, or maybe BarnesandNoble.com, or maybe I'm not sure if Target site has it anymore or not, but there's definitely places online you can get your hands on it. But there will be a gap. It will sell out very soon, and then the next opportunity is going to be a deluxe edition coming out June 28th, and then shortly after, the movie will be in theaters. Now, at the time that we're filming this, we know the tentative release date from Lionsgate, but we're not allowed to say it just in case it changes, and it's not been made public yet. But if the timing works out, it's going to be awesome. It'll be right on the heels of the re-release of the book, and we're going to be looking to do a lot of really fun, exciting marketing things where we can really interact with people. And so, definitely keep your eye on this space. Keep your eye on any news you hear about SourcePoint Press, and keep an eye on anything related to No Rest for the Wicked and Dead Man's Hand, the movie, because one of the things that we're really adamant about is really kind of like instilling this into pop culture, making sure comic book fans know that this cool, awesome new Western that's in theaters everywhere is a comic book movie, and bringing some of the cast to some places to do some signings is something that we really want to make happen. I'm really excited to see what comes next. So,
me too.
Yeah, it's amazing from here. So, anybody who's curious to learn more about the movie, you can go to the IMDb page and you can check out the full cast. And I imagine very soon that IMDb page is going to be transforming, as now the movie is wrapping up post-production. It's getting ready for its release is the next step, which means there's going to be trailers, there's going to be all sorts of really cool, exciting news, and fingers crossed this will be in a theater near you, as it should be getting a pretty wide release. Yeah,
with a big screen debut of the Minor Brothers in a cameo role.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm excited to see, because we did a couple of different cameo scenes, but you also don't know what they're going to use. So
right, yeah.
It could be anything from a close up to our face to you get.
Right. Yeah.
You see me you see me walk in the background past the mic. Yeah. That's it. That's me. I swear.
Yeah, those are my hips.
Yeah.
I recognize those hips anywhere. They don't lie.
Yep. Yeah. We did get to do a lot of extra things on the movie. aside from just being
Brian putting you to work.
well, yeah. Aside from being executive producers, I was on the art team, and when Kevin and Jake were out, like we were doing consulting for the actors. If they had questions about time period stuff, character stuff that we could answer, we would. But then, like even stuff like hauling props out and setting set dressing with things, moving stuff, getting it out of the way, breaking down sets. Jake and I one day we spent a bunch of time. We were making Confederate money, and we were making we were like aging the wanted posters that we had made, and getting all that stuff together. We made dynamite one day.
It wasn't real. So
no, it was totally real.
Totally functioning.
Yeah, just PVC pipes, wrapped up in brown paper.
But it was. I was gonna say it was cool because we'd be doing that stuff, and then sometimes we'd just be in the background of the scene, just kind of seeing what's going on and watching stuff. We even were fixing the deck so that they would they would deal right.
Oh,
Stuff like that.
Yeah. Every time a scene was done, and we would tear up. We would tear up the whole saloon, and then they go, "All right, reset it." And so we
So we
set
had
the
to have
cards
some
back
decks that
up.
were ready to go for dealing, and then there was a couple that the prop cards were really stiff, so I just worked on them just to make them so you could shuffle them.
Yeah.
But even then, in those scenes, so as it's going, it would be really cool because you get to stand back, you get to see it, and the smoke's coming, and you see everything going. And then, but even then, there'd be sometimes where Brian saw me back there a couple times, and he let me check out what he sees versus so it's cool to see everything else, and then you see he's got he just really trained in on this spot, and I'm like, oh damn, that looks really cool.
Yeah. See, there's something about that. You're looking at this big, massive set, but when you're seeing this is what the viewer's going to see, it's like, oh wow, this is they're in a story now.
Yeah, there's so many times where because I was doing things, I was thinking I don't know how this is going to look, and then I would see how they would frame it out. Brian and Adam Biddle, who's the director of photography, it just, they would just frame stuff, and I would look at that and just go, that looks so much cooler than what I'm imagining our stuff looks like, because the lighting's different, and the smoke gets caught different, and all this other stuff, and when it's framed that way, your focus is on what's in frame, and you forget about all that other stuff that drops out, and it's just it's as a film person, it's you're seeing the magic happen.
Yeah.
And that it's just wild to think about it from that.
I was gonna steal that, but it definitely hit me when I saw it. I was like, that's movie I get to see the actual movie magic.
Right.
It was cool because
all these little tricks coming together.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and some of it me being like, oh, is this really what it's gonna look like? But then it's I don't know any better. It's not like I do this all the time. It was the first time I was an executive producer, so I was learning a lot. But it was so awesome to watch it all come together. You know what it's like to work on a project, and in the early stages of a project, you don't know what it's like. You're going through on faith, and you're going through on your vision. And it was cool to see Brian doing that with our thing. You know what I mean? So to see it coming all together, it was a little bit I don't know, sometimes you kind of feel like you're on the outside looking in, seeing oh, this is how he interpreted it, and watching it come together was cool. So it was very satisfying in that way.
For those who aren't familiar with Brian Skiba, I highly recommend you do a deep dive on his catalog of films. He's been incredibly prolific over the past decade, especially I would say the last 5 years. He's just been boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Some really fantastic films coming out. There's a handful of them on Netflix right now, I believe, as well. So if you just go to Netflix and just type in Brian Skiba, it'll pull up some of his movies there. He's not only is he a working director getting regular work because he's so dependable, and he has such a great crew of people at his disposal that he likes to work with over and over again. That's the kind of thing that gets you work in the industry. But on top of that, he has vision, and he has the skill to execute it, and it's really causing people to start looking at him in different ways and being like, okay, I'm more interested in letting you do something more creative now than something safe and just tedious. So his movies are only getting better because he's getting, I think, what would be the equivalent of just more freedom. to do what he wants to do. So I can't wait. This is going to be his best one yet. Like, I can't wait to see what he does with this.
I think so.
Yeah. Well, Brian is really hands-on with a lot of the things, and like he knows what it's going to take to get the shot. He knows what it's going to take to get everything in there to support the shot, and he was all over the schedule, making sure that things were lining up. He's juggling people coming and going, juggling the equipment, juggling the cast crew. I mean, really a Herculean effort to get all that done, and the nuts and bolts of things. Like, nobody thinks about how much you got to pay everybody, how much you got to schedule everything. What happens if you slip? What happens if you just turn everything on its ear?
Yeah. What if this one thing gets destroyed, or this person gets sick, and the domino effect?
Yeah.
Not to mention, movies are incredibly expensive to make, and things are constantly changing, and money is constantly changing hands. And there's so many projects that get optioned that die on the vine. They might go through multiple rounds of revisions to make the budget work, because all of a sudden this casting requires a budget to be this much, but to get these investors, they only agreed to this amount. There's constant revisions to make all the pieces fit within a certain dollar amount, and then to make sure that money comes in time. And there's a lot of filmmakers that take a lot of risks, and they do gap funding, where they'll actually start filming the movie before they have enough money to complete it. Now, usually, if you're lucky enough, this money is about post-production, and you have enough production money to get through production, so you're not literally on the phone every day trying to get money while you're trying to make a movie at the same time. This is one of those lucky instances where everything kind of fell into place in a fairly short amount of time.
It's quick.
The amount of time from like when this got optioned to the fact that it would be in theaters, looking at about a year.
It got optioned before that, but at the time where we were contacted, where like, okay, this could be a thing, and it still wasn't. Nothing was like official.
Right.
It's just now we got to start looking at it a little bit harder.
Right. Before casting, so we're talking like early pre-production to being in theaters. It was a really quick turnaround time for a film like this. And
well, we signed the contract like for the movie to be made. I think it'll be about a year, almost exactly to the point where it comes out.
That's amazing.
Yeah, because everything had to get like hammered out and laid out before it could be like, okay, this is the official. So there were so many things that were getting juggled and sorted out.
Yeah. A lot of these films too, they'll make it through production, and I don't know how many people realize this, but there's more unfinished movies than there are movies. There's movies that make it through production, but they never make it through post, and there's ownership issues with that get tied up. There's ran through the budget. There's no more money. No one else wants to. They just want to cut our losses. There's movies that make it through post, and the distributor might shelve it, just never put it out, or stick it on a DVD multi-pack 5 years from now, and instead of, because there's still more money required to put it in theaters, to market it properly, to do all that stuff. It takes a series of investments and a series of people believing in it. And this one, I don't want to use the word fast-tracked, but the time that like money was in place to the time that Lionsgate said, yeah, we want this, to the time that like casting was finalized with all these amazing Yellowstone actors as well, it all happened really quickly. And I think that's really because of how awesome of a project it is, and they really see like now's the time for this to come out. It's a story that needs to be told, and it needs to be told on the big screen, and we know that the audience is going to flip for this, and so everybody's just all in on this project. It's really exciting. Yeah.
Well, what I said before, you guys, believing in us and helping make this happen. Brian, believing in this, making it happen.
To that point, I remember when we were originally pitching it, it's an unusual format and stuff like that, and we wanted it to feel cinematic, like in the panels and stuff, and so we had some reasons for why we did what we did, but I do remember when we were pitching it to some other studios, and like people were just like, Westerns, no, and we're kind of like, oh, we like it. And to your point earlier, you said like sometimes like people get kind of fatigued. Like maybe there's been talk there's a superhero bubble and there's superhero fatigue in the movies. And I look at like, okay, that can be kind of true, but there will never be fatigue on good stories.
Absolutely.
No matter what the genre is. Like, if you have a good story, the genre almost doesn't matter. There can't be fatigue on it because it's a good story, because
Right.
people won't care, you know?
Yeah. Well, and like we said, the artwork by Jake is just spectacular.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, top notch, no doubt about it.
Yeah, and I think the story is a good, fun story. And I think I think you can see that the three of us enjoyed what we did, and the fact that it's come this far. I'll mention we made a total pie in the sky deal with you guys when we agreed to publish the book through SourcePoint together.
It was a long time ago now, too.
Yeah.
It was. God bless you guys.
Well,
We-
you definitely took a shot on us, like,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Well, we put in it, if it ever goes to a series or a movie, that we want a cameo role, and everybody honored that. So like that was as much of a pie in the sky shot as anything, like for that to even be possible.
That's so crazy. To really just put this in perspective, numerous SourcePoint titles have been optioned for films, and nothing came of it. There's multiple film things in the works that I don't know if they'll ever come out, because I've just become this jaded old man in the industry, and I just assume the worst now all the time, so I don't get my hopes up all the time. But we all get to breathe a sigh of relief on this one. Like, this is happening. Like, this is definitely happening.
Yeah. This summer.
It's this summer. It's going to be the coolest thing in theaters this summer. I'm so excited, and I'm so excited.
Can we use that quote?
Even if SourcePoint, even if this wasn't a SourcePoint film at all, and SourcePoint had no part in it, I'm like rooting for a paranormal Western indie comic movie in theaters everywhere. That's mind blowing, right? That's like, hell yes. That's what we need. This is so cool. It's such a win, for those in the indie comics community that are trying to just tell awesome stories, and like, that's the recognition you guys deserve. So it's really cool.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, it's exciting, and I think to your point, we're in a space where like people want to see something a little bit different, and to see something kind of make it all the way like this, it's exciting, it's encouraging, and we're over the moon. We're really excited.
Yeah. I thank Brian. I think every day we were on set.
He's a good guy.
He is.
And one of the hardest working people I've ever met.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's a grinder.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think our shortest stay was maybe 10.5 hours. And like I said, every day I thanked him. But that whole cast and crew, like the crew, we pulled together on all kinds of weird, emergencies. Whether we were planning to do something and did it, or couldn't do something and did it. I mean, they're great every day, and I was so appreciative of all their work and the cast. Thinking I'm a movie buff, I was surprised multiple times while we did things where every scene, whether they were on camera or not, like they gave 100% every take, even if the camera was off them. And that just was blowing my mind.
Awesome.
And sometimes I was worried. I was like, wow, that was so good. I hope we got that.
Right. So sorry about that. We had a little technical difficulty, and we're switching to a slightly different format. So here we are back on the set of The Source, and we were just talking about just how amazing everybody was on set, and how much went into this. And do you guys want to tell everybody where they can keep up to date on anything you guys are working on, and also on this movie? Where should their eyes be? Where should they be looking for upcoming announcements?
Universe-m.com is our website. We'll be putting news up there where we can, plus our social sites. Instagram is...
So our Instagram is UniverseMGo, all one word, and then
UniverseMGo.
UniverseMGo, yeah, all one word. And then there's like Twitter for me. It's KMiner58. Matt, you are...
I'm Matthew S. Miner. Matthew _S_Miner.
Underscores.
And by the time this goes live, you're going to see both of them on the... So pro. I'm so pro. You're going to see both of them on the IMDb page for The Source. Obviously, from there, you can follow that right over to the Dead Man's Hand IMDb page, and you can check out all the crew and cast and all the amazing people who worked on this. And at Source Point, trust me, we're going to get very loud about this. You know, once the trailer drops, we're not going to rest until every single person in the world has seen it.
There's no rest.
No rest for the wicked. So obviously follow SourcePoint Press. We'll be putting stuff on our site and all of our socials, and I'll be talking about it here. And hopefully we get to have you guys back on the show again in the future. And maybe we'll do like a cool premiere episode. We'll do a quick little interview on the red carpet.
Yes.
That'll be the next time we get to see each other. It'll be awesome.
Yep.
So all good things happening this summer. Definitely keep watching. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.